Anyway, I'm just sick of this truck. Oop, broke the window. That's how pissed I am. Alright, so I got my aftercooler in. One of the things you want to make sure when you put a radiator or an aftercooler or something in, that it's not, that you got it shimmed right. See that? So I got to put one more washer under there. I got to have two under this side because it won't even go up against that. So I got to put two over here. Alright, I'm trying to wire up my fast fuel system. This is supposed to be a MetroPack 280. I don't see the deal that holds it in there. I hope it's going to work. But before I can even shove it in there, I have to pull this white thing out because it's like a pin lock. Okay, this is what you got to take out, this plastic deal. And the connectors snap in, but that plastic deal holds them good and tight so that when you go in the bulkhead and bolt it down, it's going to stay put. It's not right. That is not the right. I have been everywhere trying to find an effing connector that's going to work, and I can't find one anywhere. This is retarded. Why are you not going in there? Not even long enough. What in the hell is wrong with you? I gotta hook a wire to this little pot liquor and go inside there and fish that in this hole right here if it's gonna go in. I don't know. I got dielectric grease over these. I gotta go in the right way or it ain't gonna work. Oh, come on. What does it take here to shove you in there? What does it take to get you in? I don't know how I'm gonna do this. All right, so here's what I did. I couldn't get those connectors to work, so I just ran the wire through the hole. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. So the outside salesman just stopped by and he brought my bushings, and we had a pretty good visit. He's got a YouTube channel too, so we talked for quite a while. Anyway, the guy's down at the Peterbilt store watching my videos, so this is a shout out to you. Thank you very much for your help and getting me all the stuff that I needed. I really appreciate that. Anyway, that part's done, so now I'll get my clutch stuff all put back together and we're ready to set a motor. All right, we've got the engine in. I got the AC compressor on. I got the alternator on. I got my wiring all hooked up. I just had to get this nice colored matching loom to put on there. So I've got one of my clutch linkage grease lines in up under there, and it's going to come here, and then the other one will go right next to it. But I picked up a bum the other day and gave him a ride, and when I opened my passenger door to clean stuff out of the passenger side, these fell out, all these fittings I had. And I picked them up off the ground, but I'm assuming one rolled under the truck or something. Anyway, I lost it. I had a lot of guys ask me about the dyno results, so here's the deal. I got a hold of my cat dealer. Actually, I messaged the media people. They follow me on Instagram. Told them, I sent them a picture of it, and I said, hey, I'd really like to get this dynoed down in Pocatello, but I'd like to film it. And I figured they'd let me do that because I'd be in the booth, in safety. I mean, when guys dyno engines, you just don't normally stand out next to them when you're pulling them hard in case something happens. Anyway, it took forever to get a response, but they just said something to the effect that their safety protocols or what didn't allow me to film it and post anything, which I don't understand at all. It probably would have actually brought them some business if people knew they had a dyno and saw their $25 million facility and what they can do. But they just don't want to work with me. And I thought, well, I made a video, put it on Facebook and Instagram asking if anybody knew of anybody with an engine dyno close to me. And I think somebody said somebody in Twin Falls, but I looked up on their site. They do car engines. They don't do truck engines. I probably could have went clear to Salt Lake, but at this point, I just don't have time. I got to have this done because next week, Jake said they're going to come and set that vault at the gun range, and he needs to haul a bunch of gravel. So I got to get this thing done in the next few days, which I think I can. Somebody commented on my video about recovering the Wabco that thank goodness it wasn't another GD Cummins video. So yeah, I've done a lot of Cummins videos for sure. Apparently there's some Cummins fatigue going on. But you know, I just brought this thing in to change the front accessory drive bushing. And then we discovered the bushing was turning in the cover, so then the cover came off. So then it was like, well, let's pull the cam, check the bearings, and they were shot. And at that point, we just pulled it out. Anyway, I think my first video on this was January 28th. You know, once I get going on something, I just can't do it half-ass. I got to do it up nice. It's an obsessive compulsive thing with me, I guess. So that's why I spent all that time cleaning it up, make sure everything was right and painting it. I just couldn't stand the idea that taking it and rattle canning the motor or just spraying some paint that's going to fall off in no time. I didn't want to do that. I don't ever want to work on this thing again, and I'm still paranoid about it having a problem. That's just me though. I just obsess over that stuff. So I appreciate you sticking with me through this project. I just wanted to show what it takes to build an engine. And for me, where I don't do this for a living and I got other things to do, I can't be on it all the time. I'm going to have to now. I got to get it done so Jake can use it, but I don't I don't want to do anything today, but I got to keep going. I just have to. So you guys have a nice day. I got to get to work. So everything in this truck wants to fight me. So they put 532 quick connect lines on the tranny, and this old girl's set up for 1/8 inch. So I really need to find a new shifter. So I got to do that Monday and then get the airlines. And I think I was looking for airlines and nobody had the colored ones. Everybody uses black. Anyway, I'm just sick of this truck. Oop, broke the window. Really broke it now. That's how pissed I am. Frickin' window. All right. I didn't break that on purpose. These windows are so blasted you can't see out of them. I got the first one out. I think the worst part is cleaning up that butyl rubber out of there. That was horrible. So if you don't use that butyl, here's the problem. Peterbilt fuse box is right around the corner there. And you get a leak and you got water going down there, it will corrode that fuse box inside here to death. And you'll have more electrical gremlins than you can imagine. So I'm going to go back in with the butyl to seal it up. I've got the butyl tape in both new windows. They weren't that much money, like $77 a piece was all. Oh, here's something interesting. So I was gonna figure out which cables were the hots, because I only got one red when the rest of them are black. So I took the test meter, trying to figure out which one was which, and I found one had continuity, and then I started touching the others, and they had some resistance to it. So there was a spot that I cut the zip ties and then did the rubber around it and pulled them apart. Anyway, somebody's put a welder cable in there, and I think that was the problem. I don't know how it was doing. Somebody smarter than me needs to explain how, with just a test meter, you would be able to see some of that continuity through there.
Okay, when you're doing this, you want to come in and cut this flange off the inside here as far as you can. And then a heat gun is your friend. If you heat this rubber as you take your knife along here and cut it, it slices off pretty doggone good. So let's go up here, and then this plastic tool that I've got it's a window tool I use to put in windows in my scrapers, but you can just go along here and pry it out now. Oh, I broke it. Oh well, I didn't want glass all over. So problem is the sides are still kind of in. So here we come. These are coming, boys. These are coming. I don't think I'm going to try to put these in myself. Thank you a lot. So the problem with this particular Peterbilt is you're not getting a knife in there. And you got this trim. And it's just pretty tough to get a knife in on this side. But if you take the heat gun and warm that rubber up good, then your knife will cut through it pretty well. Oh, that burns my finger. And it loosens that butyl. This one doesn't look like it has butyl in it. I'm not seeing butyl. Oh. Alright, so now, see if we can get in here and slice this. Yeah, like that. See how easy that comes out once you slice that? There she is. Alright, let's go outside and see if we can get it out of there.
Oh, and then that stainless visor doesn't help either. So Jake and I were tag teaming this today. Jake went and got a battery. I built some new cables. I got some new battery cable. Crimped all those myself. We've got the fast system hooked up. Turn the key on, it works. We got the shift airlines in. Bought a brand new selector knob because the old one leaked. Got the power steering pump on. Got the power steering hoses up there. I got to get under there and tidy those up and tie them up, along with the battery cables. We got the fan drive on. I just got done putting the exhaust pipe in. I sure would have liked to replace that ugly thing, but this thing from Peterbilt was like $400 or $500, and then that piece of pipe was insane. It was like double that. So for right now, we're just gonna put some clamps on it and go. This truck needs to go. Black oil coming out that pipe. Blew the pipe off. Yeah. So it blew the pipe off here. We don't have clamps yet. We won't have them for another, what? 30 minutes? 427. Yeah, all of a sudden it starts missing. No boost makes a big difference. Okay, when we started it up and you saw that smoke coming out, I couldn't figure out what was wrong, and Jake said it smelled like fuel. So I asked Brian if a guy supplied pressure with the engine off through the fuel system, would it dribble fuel through the injector? And he said yes. So I think when we turned the key on and primed that and had pressure to it for a while, and you saw it started, it kind of knocked. There was a little black and then a lot of white, and then it put a lot of black on the ground through this leaky downpipe and out this leaky clamp here. We got to replace this anyway. And then it was hazing, and it didn't do that when I ran it in the shop here on the engine stand. So just food for thought. If you have a fast fuel system on any Cummins PT fuel system, don't leave the key on. With the engine off, do not leave the key on, or you're going to dribble fuel. So glad I figured that out. We won't ever do that again. Got clamps on. Something wrong here though. That hole has to connect to that hole. So we're kind of holeless here. So what do? Jake went into Pratt's truck and they gave us a pipe with a flange on it. They'd had it upstairs for 100 years. Didn't know what it went for, nothing. So our flange was cracked really bad here, so we cut this off, cut the old one off, and then we cut the flange off that new pipe and welded it on here. This is a 52-degree proprietary to Peterbilt pipe that is anywheres from, Peterbilt wants $450. I've seen them for $399, $500, $600. So we just fixed it. We fixed the glitch. So I bought that and that thinking that we would replace this because I don't know, this is the dumbest thing ever. This is factory. See how that pipe's all mashed in? Why would you mash it in clear down here? It doesn't do you any good. I mean, you can get a 5-inch pipe down in here. So I don't understand why they mashed it like that. But that's an $800 pipe, man. But it's not a 90-degree bend. So you'd have to get doing some cutting and fabbing to make one work. So you see how it comes around and then it drifts up like, what would you call that, an 80-degree? I don't know what it is. I wish we had somebody that could bend 5-inch tubing around here. I'd just have one made. So I got my other grease hose built. Here they are. Easy access to grease that clutch bushing. Like I was telling you earlier, you got a fast system set up for a PT pump. Don't leave the key on. Do not leave the key on or it'll flood it. It'll dribble fuel in the cylinders. And that's why this thing smoked so bad. And then we had fuel and soot coming out all over here on the floor. And it got all over my pretty motor. I had to clean that up. I do believe we got the exhaust whipped. So I have installed it. But I had to install the old downpipe. What a piece of crap. So anyway, should we start it up? Can't blow off the CAC boots anymore. Let's fire it up. Compressor's quiet. It's kind of loud in this cab, wonder why. paint smoking off the manifold. Phooey. All right, she's done, kids. She's done. We just got to put the hood on tomorrow. That's it. Oh, damn windows aren't in. I got to put the damn windows in. All right, so if you notice this time it wasn't smoking when I started it, and that's because I didn't leave the key on and continually let it pump fuel. And that was the problem before. I've said it several times, I'll say it again. You put a fast fuel system or any other type of pressure system on a PT, it's going to leak past the injectors. So that's what we did. We basically flooded it with fuel. That's why it smoked so bad. All right. Hope you enjoyed the Petey build. Stay tuned for when we take it out. I'll put some cameras on it. We'll get her loaded up with gravel and get Jake's backhoe on the tag trailer. And we'll go for a ride. Well, first I got to get those pesky windows in. Somebody want to come help me put those dang windows in?
It's alright.